Hi there, it's Jennifer again. So great to be with you. And I was just wondering over the course of, everything that's going on in the world lately, I see so many people asking themselves the question, including myself, what's the greatest thing I can do with the skills I already have that would make the biggest difference? You know, have me waking up feeling inspired and going to bed knowing that I'm living what I came here to live. And I wonder if you ever get a little stuck on why am I here? Like, what am I doing? What's my reason for being? Or is what I'm already doing enough? Or maybe you're looking for a big change. And that's what we're here to move through today. We don't have much time. So we're going to do some exercises, at least that start to move the needle on the idea of who you are and why you're here, or not even that. Many people are already doing something that speaks to them. Um, and I want to say that your purpose has very little to do with what you do for a career. It more has to do with how you do what you do in your career. It has to do with what you contribute to those around you. So that's a place where I want to begin today, is that it's not so much about your purpose as in your job that you should be doing. Consider that for a moment. Welcome to the Thriving Life Podcast. I'm Jennifer Huff. I'm on a mission to empower you with the knowledge, experiences, and tools to turn your dreams into reality. If you're ready for permanent shifts in your ability to stay unstuck, make glass ceilings your new floors, and want practical tools rooted in applied physics and neuroplasticity to live a life of fulfillment, this podcast is for you. Let's get thriving forward. We're going to answer a little bit about why you feel overwhelmed, or why there seems to be some dissonance or a sense of urgency inside that maybe there is something more, but you're just not on it. And also how to gain clarity on an ongoing way. And so that you can have confidence moving forward that even if there is something else something else that would bring you more fulfillment, you actually would be able to hook into that in a way that is much more efficient or expedient, let's say. I think in order to contextualize today, it would be good to talk about a greater view of life. In fact, the context of, not to get too deep right at the beginning, but the context of the meaning of life. Why are we here as a species? I was watching a physicist the other day on Facebook. He was doing a reel. He's very well known. I love watching him. And he felt much the same way that I do about this world. He said, we're flying through space. The Earth is flying through space just in the solar system itself at 66,000 something or other miles an hour. You are a collection, the bang that gave way to the atoms in this universe, and the guts got spilled into this universe of all the original atoms that ever were. And they kept giving birth to new and new and new until there were planets and solar systems, and there were nebula and comets and all the things that we see in the night sky. And you're made of that stardust, and you're flying through space at 66,000 miles an hour. By the way, that's just flying through this solar system at that speed. It's much faster when you consider the speed of how the solar system moves through the galaxy and the speed at which the galaxy moves through the universe. So even though you're incredibly, or sometimes we feel incredibly insignificant, You got to understand the confluence of things that had to happen to get you to have an essence that pours through a physicality that's made of stardust is pretty spectacular. I don't care how spiritual or not spiritual you are, just scientifically, from the greater perspective of astrophysics, it's pretty astounding that an amoeba could eventually come from the water and become you. So when we talk about purpose, or when I talk about your purpose, hey, how about, first of all, you're alive, you're here, you matter, because the fact that there could have been millions of souls pouring through that body at this time, this little meat suit that you have, and 8.5 billion or 9 billion meat suits at this point, it's pretty amazing. So from that perspective, when we talk about purpose, instead of feeling like we're insignificant and our significance relies on having some highfalutin thing that either changes the world, or even just has you get by. What if there wasn't even a purpose for you being alive? What if just being alive is the gift? And the question now is, what are you going to do with the gift? So we look at it from not desperation or danger or, oh my God, what's going on in the world? Oh my gosh, I need to survive this life, or I need to make sure that no matter what happens with an upcoming election or the wars or whatever it is, I just got to make sure my little piece of the puzzle is taken care of. Whatever it is, you got to know that if you were born in these times of huge transition and change, that whatever your piece of the puzzle is, whatever that piece of the puzzle that you are, you get to choose to make it matter, but it doesn't have to matter like Mahatma Gandhi or like Martin Luther King. It's got to matter to who's important to you and the people that surround you. You literally are a movement of one. And truly, if you have not watched yet my TEDx talk, I really recommend it. Everything that you do in every day, never mind getting to some highfalutin purpose. How about your purpose is to expand what's possible for kindness and humanity in this world? And that every act that you do in every way, no matter if it's talking to a customer service rep, which I did for an hour yesterday, or whether it's being here right now and actually being fully present so you can ask questions and really utilize this time together, whatever it is to you, who is important to you, what is important to you. So I'm going to ask you right now, what the place where we start is, what values do you hold? So if you can type it into the comments, I'd love to see, what are your most important values? Love you too, Jackie. What are your most important values? So for me, what I value is, I value the reverence for the gift that each person in this world is. Like you, Jackie, for instance. Like my husband, Adam. I have a value of having compassion and grace. Having compassion for people that are having difficulty moving through this life, whether the intensity of now is happening or not. And I have a lot of grace. I have a huge value around grace. It doesn't mean that things don't get done, or that somehow everything isn't, we're not trying to do things with a level of efficiency and effectiveness. But I've had to have a lot of grace for myself. A lot of your values will come from, — Jackie says, kindness. What are your values? We're going to get to why this is important when it comes to your purpose. So you writing them out or you thinking about them, and I'd again, type them into the comment field because then, I can do a little work with you. Diane says being love for the people in my life. So I like to have grace because I grew up in perfectionism and I'm so over it. Preston, joy, wonder, creativity, community. I love it. Compassion. Lori K, inclusion, acceptance of others. You go, girl. Just keep typing them in. I want to hear. And so, because I grew up in a perfectionist, especially with my dad, what happened in that perfectionism for me was that I had no grace for myself. In fact, it started to give way to kind of being hard on myself, which then gave way to so much pressure on me that I started to have migraines in my 20s. And so I have a huge value for grace. I know that I had grace to the point of having too much grace. In other words, things wouldn't get done. So I would give myself too much leeway and I wouldn't be able to create. But grace for other humans and myself is huge. Lori, nature, flow of water, love it, all that stuff. I'm right with you, girl. So I want you to look at these values that you have. They give you a clue. So these high values for you give you a clue. Quiet time, absolutely. I have a massive value of spaciousness for myself and others. It's pervasive in the company. But what if the wide awakening was not my purpose? What if the purpose is to pour myself through an excuse called the wide awakening, right? What if my purpose was to pour my values, to express through my values, my own self with the excuse of called the Wide Awakening, called the courses we do, flight school. And what if literally I have a high value on efficiency too? I love efficiency. That's how I went down the rabbit hole of physics, because once you understand physics, all of a sudden you understand how quickly things can be manifested. It's so fun. Nika, love and respect for all. Yeah, me too. That we're each a gift. That we are each a gift. And I guess ultimately my greatest value, given what I pour through the wide awakening, think of your family like an excuse to live your purpose. What if your family is just an excuse to live your purpose? What if the wide awakening is just my excuse to live my purpose? So in the wide awakening, one of the things that I do that I love is that I'm passionate. Like one of my super high values is to actually be of assistance or be a catalyst or be an inspiration to others to be able to live the gift that they are. I have a huge value placed on that each of us is a piece of the puzzle of heaven on earth. And I have a huge value of unfolding greater heaven on earth. Huge, huge, massive. So the wide awakening and being the president of it is not my purpose. My purpose is actually to unfold a deeper heaven on earth. And if you start to look at your values and you start to look at the way you do what you do, you're going to start to see what your purpose is, and you're already living it. I place huge value on understanding others because I was so misunderstood when I was younger. I place huge value on trying to understand and helping others understand the other, because I find that through that curiosity, I have a huge value of curiosity. Through that value of curiosity about each other, seeking to understand instead of being understood, all of a sudden what happens is we start to actually be able to move together in fluidity and in harmony. Not harmony at any cost, because there has to be harmony within yourself. So sometimes harmony takes speaking up. So what if your purpose is more about how you do what you do, and that the what you do is simply an excuse to express who you really are and those values? So some people feel like, you know, they pour their values through a company or through a project that they have, but it seems like the project's not working, or like it's not moving fast enough. Or maybe someone on the team is not doing what you think they should do. Or maybe they're even, as far as you're concerned, not in integrity with what's up. Well, when you're communicating with that person, the mission that you're on needs to come through in your communication with the person that you're talking to. So it's not being bombastic and going, hey, you're really screwing up. But if I'm all about compassion and grace, then the way I'm going to talk to that person, whoever they are, has to be with compassion and grace. I'll even fire them with compassion and grace. That's your purpose, to spread the love that you are. It's about spreading the values that you hold dear. It's not about protecting them. It's not about trying to control other people from taking them away. Your purpose is to take all those values. So isn't that a strange and wonderful twist? Because when people think they're going to be talking about purpose, don't we think we're going to be talking about the job that you do? Or the mother that you are, or the father that you are, or, I don't know, the philanthropy you undertake. Today is a day in these times of huge polarity that for me, I wanted to bring home this idea that you are already, so now already being your purpose. So another exercise, look in your life and type into the chat field or into the comments, whether you're listening now or you're listening on Memorex, on the replay. Where in your life are you already living that purpose? Where? Where do you be those values? Where do you be that? So for me, I really do attempt to live my values at work. I'm realizing one of the places where I had the most challenge is living my values with my own self. So I notice myself doing that, being a lot more gracious and compassionate for myself lately. Where are you already living those values? Where is it easy for you to live those values? Because if that's your purpose, are you doing that with your neighbors? Let's say you have a job that you're not sure about or that you don't like, or you work with others. The reason why it becomes, breathe, because this is huge. What I'm about to say is really huge. If you aren't living and breathing all of those values that we just talked about at your current work or in your current family, you might say it's so dissatisfying. This work is so dissatisfying, or working in this organization, or volunteering here, or, my family, or this, you'll notice that you actually are not being who you are in those places. That's why things become dissatisfying. Right? Diane, I know you absolutely to be exactly an expression of your values. So, and Pierrette, thank you for expressing that. It is so simple. The only reason anything becomes dissatisfying is because you're actually not living your purpose through it. It's not that the thing is supposed to be your purpose. It's that the who you're being. And then you change your circumstances because you hope that if I just change my circumstances, I'll feel fulfilled. Well, I got some news that wherever you go, there you'll be. Sometimes the only reason you have someone in your organization that's working with you is so that you can be your purpose with them. It isn't even what the organization is doing that is the issue. There's a gift between you. There's a gift that can be unwrapped in the outplaying of your relationship using the values that you have. Why do we get overwhelmed? Why do we have fear? And why aren't we clear sometimes? Why does the clarity go away? Those are all, when it comes to actually living who you are through everything you do, overwhelm only comes when you take on, when you're trying to change circumstances without understanding that you have resources beyond this earthly plane. So when you get overwhelmed, it's because you're not letting in your greater wisdom, no matter what's going on. It can also be because you're carrying something that isn't yours to carry. The reason we're talking about it in synchronicity with this idea of purpose is that when you're in overwhelm, I can guarantee you're not on purpose. The second thing that can stop you is from expressing all of you. And I see this time and time again with clients where they're in an atmosphere where there's lots of strong leadership or amazing ideas about things. And then there's this fear of speaking up. But I promise you, it's in being congruent with yourself and expressing your heart, not trying to control, but expressing your heart. It's in doing that everything can come into congruence. Remember, you're stardust in a meat suit flying through space at 66,000 miles an hour. I think your voice might matter. The coincidences and the science that actually got you here is insane. You can't make it up. So you cannot make a wrong expression or a wrong choice. You can only say what you say, and it moves the needle. I've been having powerful conversations with somebody within our company that have just been so badass. But that's because I'm being who I am. I can guarantee you that the results with that person could have been very different had I not been who I am. And the last thing is that you're not used to actually expressing your values yourself. Where appropriate, not appropriate, appropriate's the wrong word. That's too restrictive. Where it seems obvious to express. When it doesn't seem like it's like it wouldn't make a difference. There's no difference to be made. Nobody's going to hear you. You know, and when we talk about purpose, it also can't be about you making up for not being heard earlier in your life, because that's an ego. That isn't your purpose. That's like, no one ever listened to me, or, I need freedom because I was so constricted when I was younger, or, nobody's ever going to tell me what to do anymore. All of those things are egoic reactions. I'm talking about that voice that you haven't used that comes from your heart, not your egoic expression that needs to prove that what you have to say has value. That's from a past where someone didn't value you, and making up for that is internal work. I'm talking about speaking with some authenticity, right? So guys, I'm excited. I want to finish up by giving you a little something to do here. First of all, make a list of 11 values that you hold dear. Collect evidence for in your life how you're already living those values. Notice the areas of your life where there's dissatisfaction. And for each of those values, check in and see if you're actually expressing yourself fully into those, because as you do, you'll be living your purpose. Living your purpose is very different than getting clarity on what's next. Getting clarity on what's next in your actual actions is entirely different than living your purpose. We can talk about that on another live event if you want. Certainly, that's what the upcoming embodiment workshop is all about. So, and right now, the biggest action step you can take is please tell at least 5 people you know and love, that we're doing this 555 event called Finding Peace in Times of Great Change. And when we post the announcement, if you can share it with 5, 10, your whole social media account, like, let's do this, you guys. We've got to be bigger than what's going on in the world right now. And this is all about becoming bigger, be truly not being at the affect of it. Part of our collective purpose right now is to not wait for other kinds of leadership. We are the ones. So again, I encourage you to go back to that TED Talk, The Movement of One. Share it with people. Share it with people that you're inviting to our Finding Peace in Times of Great Change. And thank you for your comments today. I really appreciate you guys so much. I know you're each your own movement of one to many in this world. And when we collectively come together, we're a movement of one. And we get to not be a victim of anything, and actually be the ones that get far out ahead of what's going on in the world. So love you guys. Thanks, Caroline, for all the love, and looking forward to seeing all you guys next time. Yeah. Big hugs. Rebecca, mwah. Rebecca, I'm so glad. Can't wait to hear more about what happens from the exercises today. All right, you guys. Thank you to my awesome sweetie pie, Adam, who is in the background today doing the production. And usually I don't say, because he tells me, don't talk about me. But I'm talking about him today, saying, thank you, Adam, for doing all you do. You make my life and these live streams so much fun and so much easier. And Katerina, you're right. Adam is the best. So you're welcome, Pierrette. Big hug. Bye, everyone. I deeply appreciate you joining me on the Thriving Life podcast. In these times of great change, it's so good to come together. I'm on a mission to empower you with the knowledge, experiences, and tools to turn your dreams into reality. Your dreams matter. Thank you for joining me, because you, like me, are a movement of one to many. Your thoughts and suggestions really matter to me, so please join me on LinkedIn at Jennifer Huff, or on Instagram at The Wide Awakening, and post a comment about what you got from the show, or drop me a DM. I love that. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, please leave a review, or many reviews. Share the love. It really helps us to reach more people, and that is what a movement is all about. Until next time, keep thriving.